Welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Justin Stoddart. Excited to be with you today to talk about building an online community. The reality is conversion happens in conversations. And if your social media, if your digital presence is all one way talking at people, you're not going to be in conversation. You're not going to be getting conversions. So today I have with me an expert that's going to talk about how to leverage the digital space to have more engagement, build a more robust community, and be able to turn that into conversions for your business. Before I go there, let me remind you that inside of the Think Bigger Real Estate group on Facebook is where we engage in the conversation. We allow guests like today's amazing guests to come in and answer questions and really be a guide and a resource to help us apply and implement the things that we learn on the show. So be sure and join us there. If you're not already a member of the Think Bigger Real Estate group on Facebook, go and do that now. Back to today's guest. His name is Seropyan. He's out of the Los Angeles area. Really, he's built an amazing community out of South Bay, which is a part of Los Angeles. And he's going to teach us what he's done and what he recommends to his clients as a digital agency owner, what he does to help people really become kind of the center of the community, really adding lots of value and not wasting time in the digital space, but leveraging the tools that allow you to cover as much ground in as short as time and effort as possible. Eric, thanks for coming on the show today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Justin. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, talk to us just briefly kind of about your background that would help us all kind of understand kind of where you're coming from.
Sure. So there's a part of Los Angeles that's called the South Bay area. It's kind of like the shoreline of LA. The main part there is, it's almost like a big bay. And so on the other side of the bay is where all the touristy places are, like Malibu and Santa Monica and Venice Beach. And then more of the locals are in the South Bay part of Los Angeles. So I've grown up there. I live there. I love the area. It has its beach communities. It has its, industrial areas. And I kind of use my company and my social media and my digital marketing to show it almost like a case study of what a local engaged campaign would look like. I love that because I do think that there's a lot of opportunities in social media to gain a lot of attention that really doesn't come back, that doesn't last, right? That it's kind of an echo chamber. You're kind of today's kind of one-hit wonder, if you will, but you don't actually build something that lasts. And it sounds like what you do, what you help real estate agents and other businesses do is actually use the digital space to get into community, to get into building community and get into conversation with people. Am I understanding you correctly? You're absolutely right. We've found that, there's different ways to do digital marketing. And one of the ways, the way that a lot of companies go is through Google Ads and, spending money on different platforms that can be quite expensive. And the ROI is difficult to predict. It's kind of all over the place. And we found that with local SEO especially, and this applies very well with real estate agents, is that you need to create a community online. And that could be where you're collecting email addresses from your website to do a monthly, a weekly email blast, to be able to create a community with your social media, and be some kind of a resource for people so that you can pay it forward, and then you will have a relationship with the local businesses and individuals and so on.
I'm going to use an analogy here that I think will resonate with every real estate agent out there. And I think everybody believes that it's probably better to own than to rent, especially if you're in real estate. And I'm a firm believer that these social media platforms, we're simply rented space. Even the ones that I'm broadcasting to at this very moment, it's rented space. At any moment, they could change their algorithms and remove me, downgrade me, whatever, right? When I have an email list, I own that land. I'm the owner. And so any social media strategy that isn't designed to bring people from land you rent to land you own, in my opinion, is fleeting, has flaws, and will eventually fail because
you're not building an asset. You're not building something that you own. And I love what you're saying here, Eric, is that at the end of the day, you are using social media to help build a list that then you can communicate to and be on owned land versus rented land.
Exactly. So, you need to create strategies where you entice your followers on social media to come to your website and to give their email address to you. And so that can be done in different ways, whether you're going to give something away or whether you're going to do a monthly email blast to them that would be interesting to them for free. But you have to get them on your email address, get their email address. Inversely, while you have a good thing going on social media, it's good to make sure that they're on your social media, because you could reach out to them more regularly on social media. There are companies or agents that post once a day, and then they post on their like on Instagram, they might post on their stories daily or a couple times a day. So you're more front of mind. But the end game absolutely is to make sure that you have them on your website, that they're subscribed to your email list.
Another analogy that my real estate agent friends will appreciate, and many of you have heard me share this before, but we all know that real estate is location, 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 right? That being in the right place matters. And I compare oftentimes the real estate you own to the mind share that you have with people. That your goal as a real estate agent is to own as much real estate in someone's brain. In other words, as much mind share as possible, so that when they have any question about real estate, they think of you as opposed to the big portals or opposed to your competitors. That puts you in the driver's seat. How do you do that? Eric, you just gave a great clue. And it's so funny that you say that. Literally unprompted, just prior to hopping on this very broadcast, I push send on an email campaign that directed people back to my Instagram stories. Like the message that I was teaching was best illustrated by something that I was doing yesterday. And in the process of me speaking to my list, land that I own, I directed those people back to Instagram, where they're going to see a lot more of me, right? I'm going to post there more than I'm going to email. And so like you said, I love that, where you can use the two to be sure you've got both rented land and owned land, but be sure that all the land that you own, all the people that are on land you own, also are seeing your daily updates in the land that you're renting. I think it's a great strategy, and one that I believe, obviously, as well.
Sure. And we always seem to do business with people that we think are competent, that we trust, that if there's a problem, they're only a phone call away. And with staying in front of your audience, whether it's by email or by social media, you're almost creating this relationship, and they feel comfortable with you. They trust you more than going to one of the bigger websites and then having them refer a stranger to you. Because when you're buying a house, it's the biggest purchase you're going to have. It's not like buying a sweater. If something goes wrong, you're out, $20, $100. When it comes to real estate, it's a problem if things go wrong. So it's good to have that feeling of, this person's got my back. They know what they're doing. They're going to pay attention to my dealing, as opposed to, I'm not important to them. So, and that kind of takes time. It takes, and it's a combination of things, like you said, with email list, with being on the website, with the social media, just hitting them in different ways.
Yeah, well done. All different angles. Eric, let's go tactical. In fact, let me just share one more thought here. I know those that follow me closely know that I authored a book called The Upstream Model, which teaches you to not necessarily focus on a massive, huge database, but on some very key players that can not sporadically refer you every year or a couple of years, but refer you 3, 4, 5 times a month, right? It just shrinks down the amount of people that you have to own a lot of mind share in their brain in order to get great results, giving you therefore time to devote to things that are more important than your business. It's kind of a nutshell. How would you recommend to those that are striving to become upstream professionals, that are really looking to create that highly curated small database, right? In addition to their big database, but really with a focus on those key professionals that can help them to really grow their referral base quickly. What strategy would you recommend when it comes to that, when it comes to really being very valuable to a handful of key people? When it comes to the digital space, what would you recommend?
So if we're talking about real estate, for example,
Mhm.
what we want to do is we want to create something that is of value to others that we would reach out to. And we want to find individuals or companies that are not competitors, but we share the same audience. Let's say if I'm a real estate agent, maybe my audience also is home appraisal or mortgage broker, someone that has an audience where we can share that audience together. So we've had situations where we've reached out to a mortgage broker for our clients, and the mortgage broker has done a shout out or an email blast to their audience, and in exchange, we've done for our audience for them. So and they're in the same geographically, they're in the similar area. The audience is kind of an overlap, and it's a good way to be able to create some synergy between the two individuals or companies.
I love that. Yeah, lead with value, right? Oftentimes I see, and to actually talk about this in the book and in the course that I have built around the book, is that oftentimes we identify somebody who will be beneficial for our business, and we show up with our hand out saying, hey, I would love to be worthy of your referrals, right? And it's very much a me conversation, as opposed to contribution first, create something of value that would be beneficial to them, offer it for free, just offer help. And the right people will be like, how do I reciprocate? How do we do more business together? I like having you in my life. I like having you in my business. What does that look like? What can I do to be a benefit to you in your business, right?
Exactly. So, if you want to go after, collaborations that are going to be worth it, you have to have your game together also. Mm-hmm. So if I told someone, I'll tweet it for you, I'll tweet about you, and I haven't tweeted in 2 years, and I have 9 followers, it's not going to be as interesting. It wouldn't be for me if they were doing it in reverse. So we have to establish ourselves on social media and on emails and everything that we talked about, so that when we reach out, we can go after some of the accounts that we really want to work with, that are local, that are, we're kind of working towards the same audience.
Mm-hmm. Love that. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, now jumping back to kind of the tactical here with the time that we have left. Agents, let's say that this is resonating with them, and they're saying, I'd like to build community. I know that there's a lot of places where I could put my time and attention in the digital space. I want to make the best use of my time and of my resources, with the end result of being like a community builder, right? Both of the community you live in, as well as your community, right? The land that you own, the email list that you have, the people who you communicate with. What would be the first couple of steps, Eric, that you'd recommend that everybody needs to do to kind of walk down that correct path?
Sure. So the first we touched on is to make sure that your platforms, your website, everything is, easy to navigate, easy to understand. Secondly, we need to offer something that would be of value, and if we can give it away. So in real estate, maybe it's a report on last month's home prices in a particular area, maybe a law that came up, something to do with the community. And really geo-targeting and making it interesting, as opposed to, I'm in Los Angeles. There's 25 million people that live here. There are so many different suburbs and areas that, sometimes to go 20 miles is an hour and a half. It's almost like you're going to a different state sometimes. It's just, it's different. And so I would say to do campaigns that are really geo-targeted towards a certain area, within a 5-mile to 15-mile radius at the most, and let them know these suburbs, these prices, this is what happened. There's some building projects going up here, whatever the case may be, whatever news is coming up, and something of value that people will sign up and want to stay engaged with your website and your company.
Love it. So how do people get to that? Like, what is it that people want? Is there some way that you would identify I mean, you gave some great suggestions. Is it polling people? Is it just testing, seeing like open rates on emails? If you're trying to decide, because I believe that there are people who listen to this and they'll be like, okay, what do my people care about? Like, what do they want to hear? I think I'd love to hear your answer. I know that every time, whether it be Zillow or Redfin or HomeBot sends me, here's the price of your house, I open it, right?
Yeah.
Or what's happening in your local like real estate market, hyper local zip code. I'm curious, right? Because it affects my net worth. Any other suggestions on how they might be able to decide what would be a valuable thing that they could offer to people that would make them want to continue to subscribe to, what you're talking about?
Just like anything else, we do A/B tests, and then we're always doing different kinds of headlines, content, etc., to see what's happening. The open rate is a big one. Once they open, they go to your website. All your students, your clients, they should have something that is called Google Analytics, where it's plugged into the back end of your website, so you can see when someone lands on your website where they came in from. Whether they came in from an email or they came in from Google or another website, geographically where they came in from. Because if you're in, let's say you're a real estate agent in Portland, Oregon, and out of the 100 visitors you got today to your website, 90 of them are from Russia, it's probably, there's something wrong there. So you want to be able to see where they're coming in from, the top landing pages, top exit pages. You can see when they come to a particular article that you wrote from your email, you can see how long they stayed on the page. So that's a good metric to see, because if you had 100 people that came in from your email blast and 95 of them stayed 3 seconds and left, then something is wrong. So that's a good way to, back into the data.
Google Analytics. I love it. It makes sense, as opposed to guessing and assuming. Right, get the actual data. Where are people coming from when they land on your website? How long are they staying? Where are they coming from?
Yeah. So on your email blast, you might have, let's say, 2 or 3, let's say 2 links for this, for argument's sake. So on the email, you have, here's this article about prices, and here's this article about a new project that's happening in town. And so when they click on each one of those, it's going to go to its separate page. It's not going to go to the home page. So they're going to go directly to the article. So you can see which one they're clicking on. And on each article, when they land on that page, look at the metrics to see how long they're staying, if they're moving on to other articles. You can see the user flow. You can see more data than you'll ever need on Google Analytics, to be honest.
Awesome. What would be another tip that you would say people should really, if they're really going to be serious about this, right? Not dabble in this, but really take it serious and make this a concerted effort to really leverage the digital space, to get into conversations, to be able to start to create conversions into clients. What would be another step that you would say would be super important?
Well, as always, when it comes to the internet world, everything is out and open. So you can kind of see what your competitors are up to. Or you can take a random real estate agent in a different state and get some ideas on what they're doing to see, sometimes they're doing something that they're getting a lot of likes and follows, but it's not your cup of tea. And then you see somebody else that's doing, something, and you think, oh, I could do that. I would love to do that. So do some research, see what they're doing online, check their social media, make sure that it's within a scope that you feel comfortable, when you're creating content. Another thing that works well is when you're engaging others in order to collaborate, is to do kind of like what we're doing here, almost a conversation, but you record it. And then you put it on your social media channel, they put it on theirs, you are exchanging audiences. And so they're getting something of value, you're getting something of value. Currency is not being exchanged, but you're actually helping each other out with things that you've built.
Love that. It's great stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, if people are listening to this and they're like, this all sounds great, but I'm a really well-paid real estate agent, and the minute I take my eye off of doing real estate and start to learn the tech game,
I lose money, right? And that's really where you come in, Eric, right? Tell us a little bit about your agency and kind of how you maybe take some of these things off the plates of agents and just help them do it at a really high level. If you wouldn't mind kind of share with us your services.
Sure. So we're a custom boutique agency. There are many agencies out there that it's almost like a cookie cutter, where here's what you get, and you get 2 blog posts and 1 this, 2 that, and that's it. We go in and we see what your competitors are up to and what we need to do it just a little bit better. And everybody has their way of running their business, so it's all within a conversation and coming up with a custom digital marketing plan, as opposed to here's how it's done and that's it. Yeah. So that's our strength. We do community building. We do if they're interested in Google Ads, we run their Google Ads. We do their SEO campaign, depending on what they're looking to do. The thing that seems to drive real estate, especially my first, I'll say, quote unquote, client was my mother back in the day. She was a real estate agent in the South Bay area. So I have some understanding that was, and I've done other real estate campaigns, obviously, but that was like my base growing up with a mom that's a real estate agent, and then having her as my first person that I was implementing my strategies. It becomes, when you do some of these things, keep in mind that you're building a community within a community, and it's something that it doesn't just go away once you build it. You just need to maintain it at some point and continue to grow it also. But there are going to be only so many people that are going to want to do within a certain neighborhood. But once you have capture that, it's difficult to, the phone calls won't stop at some point.
It's exciting. Eric, I want to move now to the signature question of our show. We have just a couple minutes left. You're a big thinker. You help others to think bigger, right? To go beyond just building a business to building a community. What does Eric Seropyan do to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to expand your possibilities, to continue to grow? What does that look like for you?
Well, I'm knee deep in the digital marketing world. So, this is something that we're always doing. There are new apps that always are coming up, and different algorithms and different everything. But the main thing to understand is marketing doesn't change. There's somebody that out there that would love to work with you. They would love to have someone knowledgeable that will want to work with you, and you just need to find them. And so it's almost like a scavenger hunt in figuring out how to reach out to them, the messaging, and things like that. So we're constantly making sure that we're on top of the latest changes in digital, because tech changes very quickly compared to other industries. Things that we're doing 5 years ago, a lot of those things are obsolete. But the thinking behind it, as far as community creation and things like that, that's never going to go away.
Love it. Somebody that's fully immersed in the world that we all want to be good at. It's great to be around someone like you. So, Eric, I want to thank you again for being a guest today on the show, being willing to really give of your time and of your expertise. You've helped all of us to kind of see a new perspective on what it means to build community, to really build out land that we own, and be able to dominate that with value to where people, again, want to be a part of what we're doing and want to be in business with us because of the influence and the value that we bring. So appreciate that very much. And to all those listening here today, I want to, again, thank you for giving up your time to tune in and support the show. If you're listening to this via podcast, we would love it if you would give us a review. Tell the world what you think of us. And we'd love to hear that. And then lastly, my final request of everybody listening here today, they're 3 simple words. You know what they are. They are go think bigger. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.